You know, just Google flavoring industry and it'll horrify you. Google what the story is on the McDonald's French fry. You would never eat another one in your life. And the only reason you'll eat one now is it's got dye and flavorings in it. You would never touch that mush otherwise. And then where does it come from? It's a long ways from a potato. So we've gotten so far from what we were created for on this earth. We live so far from the land. You know, when you're eating something, you need to ask yourself, could I grow that in my garden and prepare it in my kitchen? And if the answer is, heck no, like, no way, because it's, you know, whatever it is, maybe you don't want to eat it. And for your children, if we start limiting all of these things, you look at what children are being fed, and in fact, what goes on in the cafeterias at school. I think healthcare is actually there. We need to be talking about how to cook food, back to my mother's kitchen, but no one knows how to cook anymore. No one knows how to shop anymore. We need to teach people to cook, how to go shopping in the grocery store, basically avoid all the middle aisles, just shop around the periphery.
Right.
Everything in the middle's no good, don't buy it. And think holistically. Don't eat processed foods. Let our body have what nature has provided for it.
You know, I look at like sodas, and I you know, my husband and my kids, when my husband would go to the store, sodas came in the house. When I go to the store, sodas didn't come in the house. So everybody wanted Dad to do the shopping. It was much, or like if I had all of them with me, I'd look in the cart and I go, where did this stuff come from? Well, they're just busy in the middle aisles throwing that stuff in. And well, my family, they call me the diet Nazi because, I mean, I want vegetables. You know, I want rutabagas and turnip greens and greens, and everybody's like, can we have some food? And I think that we've stopped appreciating what that is. And I don't want, there's a shift, I think, coming in this country. I can't articulate what it is, but there's a shift, I think, in approach. I think we're looking for more simplified answers, and that a water that's laced with chemicals, is that water?
Right. Or is that a water you want to put in you?
And what's in it? I mean, I don't think we even know. And then when I read the label and they have to label what it is, I still don't know what a diazinoid, you know, dichotomy thing is.
If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it, is really what I say. But so what happened then? Okay, I'm an internal medicine specialist, and I then hired family practice people because children needed to be seen. And you know, I'm not trained in treating children. So we did that, and then we brought on pediatrics. You know, one thing kind of leads to the next. And then some of it's just the talent that I meet. So I met an endocrinologist I really liked. He was looking for a job. I hired him. You know, we have a lot of endocrinology. So, you know, it's a good person that's going to fit in our spectrum. Dermatology, see a lot of it. It's always hard to get them in somewhere, so we hire a dermatologist. The spa was created for reasons that a spa is never created. First of all, there's no hair and nails getting done at my spa, and it's not because I don't go get those services, and I think they're wonderful, but I don't want to employ hair stylists and nail technicians. I don't really see it as part of healthcare. It's not, again, back to our mission. It's not part of our mission. So why do we have a spa? Well, how are we going to help people make the changes they need to make so they can be healthy? Are we really here to help people or not? Well, if we are, then we need to have a place where people who are out of shape and unconditioned, deconditioned can get in shape. So we hired personal trainers. Are we going to prescribe every uptight person Valium? It's a standard of care, or other anxiolytics. Is the problem that they, you know, have a Prozac deficiency? Or, you know, is the problem that they don't have time to live life? Or they don't have someone in their life that they love or that loves them? These very basic things, love, loneliness, happiness. Actually, happiness is the #1 most direct correlate to wellness. And people who are happier have less disease. People who are unhappier have more illnesses.
So let's stop there. So there's a correlation directly tied between happiness and wellness, which is an important component. So if you're not feeling well, you're dealing with health challenges, you know, maybe do a little bit of a happy. And we've done a program called Power Up Your Happiness, which is we've done it three times. 3 years in a row. We've brought in the topic of happiness and some of the things you need to do to make sure that you are getting your dose of happiness in your life, and you have behavioral things that you need to do to achieve happiness.
Exactly. And we can become so embroiled in we're a woman and we must be perfect, or the last thing we're ever going to do is take care of ourselves, that we can hurt ourselves, our health can fail us, and then we can't help anyone. So if you read The Wisdom of Menopause by Christiana Northrup, she does a great job of outlining how our brain changes, our hormones and our wiring changes throughout our life. And it's directly related to the whole Darwinian thing of reproduction and survival. But, you know, the earlier years, it's about, you know, having, even if we didn't choose to have children, but, you know, there's a nurturing, preparing your den, whatever, and then, you know, giving and caring and loving for your children and your partner. And then as women get older and their children are raised, well, there's this, the number 50, you know, when you turn 50, hey, what about my life? I've raised my kids now, but I'm going to take care of myself now. So there's kind of this awakening for women that occur. And for me it did. And I was in a horrible marriage and incredibly unhappy person. And I didn't know how to deal with it myself. And I did. And I got a divorce. And I raised 4 children by myself now. And I have to tell you that if you're in that situation and you're not sure what to do, and I don't just say everyone should go run out and get a divorce. So I believe totally in marriages and holding it together. But take an honest look at how much of the load you're carrying. And if it's too much, and this is for a man or a woman, and you're unhappy, maybe you need to get out of it. And none of that is easy. And I think you shouldn't do it alone. I think you need to do it with help, get counseling. But the reward in my life has been a millionfold. And I don't even have anyone in my life, so it's not like I went and found the great guy and let me tell you all about him, because that's not the case. But my children are happier. The energy that I wasted in trying to put fires out with somebody else is done. And I can now use that energy and put it into raising my children and into my career, hey, and into myself a little bit. And then if you love yourself and you take care of yourself, maybe someone's going to love you someday. And so, you know, I say this to men and women, but we can get so embroiled in the day-to-day. Oh my God, there's a mortgage payment to meet, there's this problem at work, there's this, there's that. And then our life slips away and we're miserable and we're living it with some miserable person who either we're making miserable or they're miserable to begin with, or, you know, some combination of it. And I think that's no way to live. And so I think if we can try to find happiness, and it's a different definition for each of us, but we must put that as a priority in our life.
I think so too, and I think that's a huge gap for a lot of people. I think we get so busy on the treadmill of life. And one thing I told my children, and I think when a lot of women hit that point of the empty nest, is that if you do your job well, you put yourself out of business. I mean, that's really what a parenting's job is. You're putting yourself out of business. And that's, who wants to be in a job and put myself out of business, but that's really your job as a parent. Well, I know we have people here, and we're going to be running out of time, who want to ask you some questions about it. I know one person wanted to talk about anti-aging. What advances are we seeing there? And any cool things that you're seeing advances. So let's start there. So any tips on anti-aging or advances in medicine you think are really fascinating right now?
Well, medicine's just such an exciting field, so we could talk about many things. But on anti-aging, you know, really what is anti-aging? We are all going to age. As my daughter Sophia says, Mommy, you'll never get older because you dye your hair. So anyway.
If only that were so easy.
But anyway, I'm working on it. So what is anti-aging? So it's really preventing disease, because what ages us? Getting stuff, isn't it, right? So we want to prevent getting bad things. So taking good care of ourselves, feeding ourselves proper nutrition. This system can't run without the substrates. And so the food that we buy is of poor value because it hasn't been grown in soil that's enriched. And, you know, so we are what we eat. So how we eat, how we drink, so being careful not to drink too much alcohol. If we drink a little, it's fine. Too much is not good. Drugs, avoid them, illegal and legal drugs, I say, as much as possible. And how we think. So we can become embroiled in self-pity, a victim mentality. We can regret a whole lot of things. I'd say don't do it. And this is all anti-aging. So there's other things that we can do that, like, you know, there's a lot of discussion about growth hormone. I am familiar with the literature. I don't prescribe it. I am board certified in anti-aging medicine. I think, you know, the whole story about growth hormone, I just mentioned it briefly just because everybody wants to talk about it. I think there's a place for it. You need to go to someone who's really good at doing it. It's very expensive. And there is an issue about tumors and cancers with it. So, you know, if this could potentially spur the growth of that. So you need to have a real serious conversation with someone who knows what they're doing in that area. You know, and then other things that I don't call them really anti-aging, but it's what you choose to do to make yourself feel better about yourself. Botox, fillers, you know, understand the literature. Go to someone that's honest, that's going to tell you the risks and the benefits of it. But if you're doing something that you look in the mirror and you feel better about yourself and it makes you feel like you have more self-confidence, as long as it's not going to hurt you, I say do it. But there is no anti-aging. You know, we all have one place, you know, that we're going to find ourselves in someday.
You know, I always say, you know, and I think for a lot of people when we talk about all these issues, and we certainly as women, you know, we always are talking about, you know, how we look. You really want to feel like you look like how you feel. I think we're living longer. I think we can feel great. So I think that that's really an important component to what you're doing and engaging in that kind of conversation, which I think is fine. I think men and women should do it, you know, the metrosexual thing. So I know we've got people who've got questions here. So who has a question today? Yes, Polly.
What's your opinion on taking vitamin supplements?
So, and I'll repeat questions, only make sure we get it on tape. So what is your opinion about taking vitamin supplements?
Right. So I have two naturopathic doctors. They are not MDs, they are NDs that work in my practice, and they have degrees as well in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. I think it's wonderful if you know what you're doing. Supplements are chemicals, even if they're herbs, that is a chemical, versus prescription drugs. The problem with prescription drugs is they've been patented, and to be patented you must have intellectual property. And so to get intellectual property, they've taken something natural and they've altered it. And so our bodies typically like something natural that they recognize, that God gave us on this earth, rather than something that's been modified. And different people's bodies have different abilities to break down these chemical prescription drugs and chemical supplements for that matter. So I think they're a great idea if they're tailored for you. And the best way to do that is to see a naturopath. We have two, and let them evaluate you and decide the right thing for you.
One of the things I've recently heard, I don't know if you're familiar with this, is that companies are now racing to actually patent vitamins, natural herbs that we have in component, so that then other companies will not be able to make those, like vitamin C. Like we own the patent for vitamin C, so you can't make or sell or create vitamin C. Have you heard anything about that?
I've not heard about that. That sounds sad and not a good thing. I hope that doesn't happen.
I think it was coming out of Europe and then making its way here, is I think where I heard that. But, you know, it's kind of like...
One of the concerns is that the FDA does not oversee the supplement industry, and when clinical trials are done that just randomly go out to these different companies that just sell vitamins, there is an 82% lack of conformity with what is on the bottle and what's in the pill. So you need to be getting these things from someone who you can trust, that they know the quality assurance that is being performed by that particular supplement company. So I don't recommend just running out and buying stuff off the shelf. Work with a naturopath and talk to them about the companies that they're dealing with.
So you have good sources.